You don't retell a story, you relive a
Mm.
story. And there's really a couple of things that you need to be mindful of as you're trying to relive a story. And I love for us to go through each one of these three because I think they're so impactful. They're, in some cases, maybe common sense, but as we know, common sense isn't common practice. So the first thing that you mentioned about you don't retell a story, you relive it, is that you need to place your audience into the scene. How do you
Y-
go about doing that?
Yeah, I think, if I relive a story, you're more likely to relive it with me. And so I want you physically there. I can physically place you in the scene one of two ways. I can say, imagine being here, right? I want to engage you, like let you sit in it and see it. Or I can say, if you had been there, when? And just by physically placing you there, like I'll just give you an example, Charles. We're talking to leaders. I could say, I don't know if you've ever had to interview somebody before, but I remember the first time I had to interview somebody, I was so nervous. And if you'd been sitting in my office with me, I'm sitting behind my desk. My knees are shaking. The person's walking in. I'm in an interview. I still don't know what I'm going to say. I'll just pause right there. What are you picturing? Right? Like you're starting to see it, the desk. Like all I had to do was one little line of text where I said, if you had been sitting in my office with me. And so if I can put you there, then you can start to kind of co create the scene around you and visually start to see it. And so it becomes more real.
And you also encourage people to use more you language instead of
Mhm.
I. So instead of saying I was standing on my back porch, instead say if you had been standing with me on my back
Yeah.
porch.
Yeah, and even adding to that, I think there's a way to create curiosity, which is I think is an important part of this. Instead of just jumping in and saying like, "Let me tell you my story," because whether it's conscious or subconscious, you kind of don't care if it's just about me. So how do I make it about you? And just ask like a simple you focused question, right? And we're talking, say, "Have you ever had this experience?" You're like, "Yeah, actually, all the time." Well, it's interesting because, and boom, now I'm bringing you into the story. So the technique is I'm going to use that you focused language, but make it a question. I'm going to tap into your world with a question, and then I'm going to bring you into my world with a story.